Paver Patio installation. Let's talk about it. It is a type of hardscape that is built outdoors for numerous purposes and comes in different sizes. It could be made of concrete, stone, rocks, bricks, or anything. In this case, we're going to talk about pavers used for different activities. I can use my patio for parking my car or my bikes, or people can use it for grilling activities. We can create like a fountain over there, so that is totally subjective to the customer or the people who want it. So what are the materials that can I use for installing a patio? The first material, of course, is pavers. So we are going to install a patio, so we will need pavers. Pavers are just like the bricks are to the houses. We build house, that is the building block. The brick is a building block for the houses, and then the pavers are for the patios. It comes in different shades, different colors, different size. It totally comes down how we install it, and then the looks gonna go. So as you can see in these four pictures, these are some of the examples. What type of, and there's a specific company we use, like we buy unilock pavers only, and then we install at the site. So that's a thing that we should know. The next thing is gravel base. That is the second material we're going to use. Gravel base is basically crushed stone that we use for support. That is the first material that we install on the ground, 4 to 6 inches high, and then after that we install some sand and the concrete. Uh, not the concrete, I mean it's pavers. So that's how we install a patio. But there's an alternative to it. There's the alternative is plastic-based panels. So we can just simply put these panels on the ground, install some sand, like put some sand on it, level it, grade it, and then we will install the pavers on top of it. So there are some difference in it. The gravel base is basically cost efficient, right? Plastic based panels are not. They are higher price, but they will give you more convenience if you want to do it yourself. That is the thing to go with. But if you want a professional company to do it, you should go with gravel base because it will be more heavy, like it can support heavy loads, right? So we don't have to worry about it in future. That is the thing we can do. Occasional leveling needed for the concrete that we're going to install, but that's not a big deal. The next thing is stone dust. We have to install stone dust above the gravel or the PVC panels that we're going to use. It doesn't matter. The panels also need some sand over it, and then we can install the pavers. It provides a stable base for the pavers, right? As you can see, like when we install a paver, we cannot install it just above the concrete because it will not fit perfectly. Even though if we're gonna install the paver over the plastic base, that's gonna slip and that's not gonna, that's not going to be as stable as it will be over sand. And also the sand will provide better water seepage, better water absorption, and these things. It Flexibility during installation, right? We can always add a little bit of sand and remove it, so it helps in balancing the height of the patio. It prevents paver movement over time. Even though we're gonna have multiple things that we're gonna install, but if we don't have sand, paver's gonna move over time. The reason, the small particle, it's gonna vibrate, it's gonna try to move, right? And the sand has a small particles that balance them, right? The forces in different directions. That's some physics, but we're gonna go down to it. The next thing is polymeric sand. As soon as the pavers are laid, we need polymeric sand between the gaps, as you can see on the right side of the picture here. We need to install polymeric sand into the gaps, sprinkle some water, and have it like sealed, just like cement does in building homes, right? We can add some water and it will go concrete, just like the cement goes gypsum. So it will help prevent weed growth because we're gonna add multiple layers. We don't want mold or any type of weed growing over our patio. The second is control pests and ants. Even though there's a lot of sand, a lot of concrete, a lot of pavers here, but if the ants can go down there, they're gonna dig some holes. If the pests gonna go down there, they're gonna dig some holes, and that's gonna be a problem in future. So we need to seal the door for those pests and the ants. The next thing is prevents erosion. Erosion, yes, it does, because if the pavers are fixed, they are not going to move. There's no erosion. If they're going to move over time, they will create a lot of space between the pavers itself, and that's going to be a problem. There will be a lot of erosion, water seepage, water is going to collect into the holes, and that's not good news. The next thing is it minimizes haze and dust. Since it is fixed, there's no dust coming out of the patio, and there's no dust over it as well, right? We can always use our broom and blower to remove all the dust, and the patio is gonna be still intact. It is easy maintenance. As I said, we always can use our blowers, brooms to maintain it, clean it, water it, whatever you want to do. Is it easy maintenance? The next thing is optional, right? Weed barrier. We can install beneath the gravel base, or beneath the plastic panels we're going to use, just for, just to be safe. If there's an area there's a lot of weed growth, we can use that or not. After the patio is installed, we need some edging materials. We need the edges to be intact. We don't want them to be loose over time, so we're going to use some edging materials. It could be some plastic, metals, or it is subjective to the customer. It comes in different designs, so yeah, totally subjective. The next thing is the process itself. How to install the paver patio. Okay, whenever we go into installing anything or any project, right? We need to plan and measure and take permissions from the city, that there's no pipeline, there's no gas line beneath the ground, so we're gonna dig, right? So in New York, usually it's Unidig who comes out, marks the areas with a flag, and then you have a green, you have a you can go ahead and start the project. That's what I mean. So the first process is plan and measure the area. Of course, that we do every time. The second is check the digging permissions. If we have to dig, if we can dig around 6 to 8 inches, then there's not a problem. Then mark the desirable area, right? The next thing is dig the existing sod or the soil. So this is the basic thing that we do for all projects, like mostly all the projects. The next thing is level and grade the area with a compactor. We need the water to, always drain to the pitch it to the water drain, so there's no water collection. That's gonna create some problems. The mold will grow on the patio, the weeds gonna grow, so we all also don't want that, right? So we're gonna run a compactor over it. The soil doesn't need to be loose, because if the soil is loose, too much loose, in future it will settle down and will create uneven patio. Like there's gonna be a problem, right? So that's the one thing we don't want. Install a weed barrier if needed, as we mentioned earlier in the picture. As we mentioned earlier, that if we want landscaping fabric, if there's an area that is prone to more weeds, we should use. Okay, now, so we can add a weed barrier if we want or not. That's we discussed earlier. And the next thing we're going to do is add gravel base. That is very important. We need to add a gravel base that is clean, not a lot of dust in it, because that will create problems in the future for water drainage, or it will like slow down the water seepage, right? So that's not good. We had to add 4 to 6 inches. So, and then run a compactor over the gravel base. We can use a metal compactor if you want. That's not gonna be a problem. And then as soon as the compaction is done, we will add 1 to 2 inches of paver sand, pitch it again, level it towards the water drain. So that's the to prevent the water collection on the patio. The next thing is rake the sand, pitch it towards the water drain, spray water over the area for better compaction. Why? Water helps settle down the sand and the sand and the soil a bit better, right? As we all know it. The next thing, start laying the pavers from any corner and leave small spaces for polymeric sand. Polymeric sand needs to go down and harden the surface, the top surface, seal the patio, so there's no soil erosion in future, no weed growth. So that's what we're gonna do. And as soon as the polymeric sand is down, we're gonna push it into the spaces and run a compactor over the patio. So here's the thing. If you use the paver panels, the panels instead of gravel base, we need to use a rubber compactor over the patio. Or if we don't have that, we shouldn't be more rigorous with the compacting. The reason being because the panels can get damaged, right? So we should only use like rigorous compactors if we have gravel base. So that's the important thing to know here. So as soon as the compaction is done, we will sweep any excess sand and sprinkle water over the patio, right? Sweep any excess sand. When the compaction is done, the sand has it got into every hole that there is. And then as soon as we sprinkle the water, it will harden as soon as it can, right? And then as soon as we have sprinkled the water, clean the extra surface, and then here we go. We have a new patio. So the last thing we should do is always check for errors, right? Check the patio for uneven area if we have any. Repair it as soon as we can because when the area hardens, the polymeric sand is down, that's gonna be a little bit tough to do, right? So that's all for the video.